Today, we're taking on a narrative that seems to be going around conservative and libertarian circles as of late. That narrative is summed up in a headline from a recent article over at Reason.com, which reads, "Record number of Americans call government our biggest problem." You and I may fundamentally believe that government control is a big problem, but is that really how Americans are feeling in general? The author of the piece, Nick Gillespie, points to a recent Gallup poll that states a record high 35% of Americans believe that the U.S. government is, quote, the most important threat facing the U.S. Except that isn't what Gallup actually concluded. It did conclude that 35% of Americans believe government, poor leadership, or politicians were the greatest problem facing the country. Those are three very different concepts at play. So while Gallup may have decided to add them up, I have serious questions as to the veracity of the headline just based on the components of the number. Luckily for us, Gallup has the insight into what people were thinking they meant by government as the problem. Check out these numbers from the actual responses to the open-ended question asked. 11% of Americans specifically cited Donald Trump as the most important problem. 5% named the Democrats or liberals, and 1% named Congress. About half of the 35% who said government is the most important problem do blame both parties or cite gridlock, lack of cooperation, or the shutdown more generally. So I ask you, do these numbers match up to the sentiment of the headline? I say no, and in fact, if Trump weren't in office, we'd likely see a far lower number of Americans distrusting government. Such is the hatred of his presidency from the very people who want more government control over our lives. This just proves you can't believe every headline you read, even if it gives you all sorts of validation for your personal beliefs. This has been By the Numbers. I'm Andrew Coppins. You can find me on Twitter at The Coppins Show.